In this video, we're going to go over the questions for chapters 3 through 5 of The Giver by Lois Lowry. Before you do anything, please make sure to put both your name and your homeroom at the top of your paper. This assignment is worth a total of 64 points. The directions say, answer the following questions after reading the sections of The Giver by Lois Lowry mentioned above. That will be chapters 3 through 5. All short answer and extended response questions must be answered in complete sentences. For question 1, it says to list all answers that apply in the boxes below. You need to list all of the settings and the characters. For settings, you want to make sure that you're only recording places that we see characters or action being set in these chapters, not just places that are mentioned. For characters, you want to only list characters who are actively involved in the chapter, not just characters whose names are mentioned. So, for example, we don't see Roberto being actively involved in these chapters. He is only mentioned, so we would not list Roberto under characters. Question 2. How would you describe the mood of the story so far and why? Hint, mood is how you, the readers, feel about the story so far. For example, you could choose a peaceful mood, a strange mood, or a detached mood. For this question, I highly recommend using your setting and mood notes. So the moods that I listed, peaceful, strange, or detached, these are moods that could work for you in these chapters. So if you can't think of one on your own, I welcome you to use one of the 3 that I've given as the hint. For question 3, it says, were you right about what the speaker was for? How do you feel about the speaker? Explain your thoughts. So notice this is actually 2 questions. The first question is, were you right about what the speaker was for? So you need to answer that part first. The second question was, how do you feel about the speaker? And for this part of the question, you also need to explain your thoughts. So when you're explaining, be sure to support your answer with evidence from the text and your own connections to the text. Question 4 asks, how is Jonas's community different from your own? Answer by completing the chart below. Fill in who typically takes care of children at each stage of life listed below for our community and Jonas's. So along the top, the stages of life are listed. Along the side, I've listed our community and Jonas's community. So at birth, who takes care of a child in our community? During infancy in our community, typically family members or daycare take care of a child. And childhood through adulthood, who usually takes care of children in our community? Hint, there might be an adult in the classroom that you could mention. For Jonas's community, you're going to do the same thing. My hint for you is that at birth, the children are not taken care of by the birth mothers. Question 5. What does Larissa say about release? Have your predictions about what releases stayed the same or have they changed? Explain. So this is actually 2 questions. The first question is, what does Larissa say about release? The second question is, have your predictions about releases stayed the same or have they changed? And you need to explain that part of your answer. So you need to think back to your prediction about release from chapters 1 and 2 in order to answer that second part of the question that I've highlighted in green. The first part of the question, what does Larissa say about release, is going to be directly in the text. You need to find that answer. Question 6, why do you think stirrings or romantic feelings are treated with pills in this community? So I'm asking your opinion on why someone would want to get rid of these stirrings or romantic feelings. Question 7. In what areas of life do members of Jonas's community have free choice? In what areas are their lives regulated? List examples below. My hint for you here is to not overthink this particular question. I'm asking for examples in the story where we see people being allowed to make their own choices or being able to make their own choices. And then I'm asking for examples where we see people in this story not being able to make their own choices. Their lives are regulated, they have to follow rules, and they don't seem to even know that they could break the rules. For question 8, find an example of irony in these chapters and fill in the table below. So before you do anything, if you're not sure what irony is, please go back to your irony notes that you copied in your spiral notebook. In this section of the table, you're going to write down the event, the dialogue, or the situation from the text that is the actual example of irony. This can be in your own words, and you can summarize. So don't forget that you can do that. You don't have to write it word for word. You probably don't have enough room. Then you need to choose the type of irony. I know for sure that there are examples of both dramatic and situational irony in chapters 3 through 5. The last part of the table is why is it ironic? You must explain why the situation that you wrote here is ironic. And why it's ironic is going to be determined by what type of irony it is that you choose. So make sure you're going back to your irony notes and using those. The last part of this assignment is the vocabulary. For each vocabulary word listed, complete the activities below. Each completed box is worth 2 points. So there are 3 words. The first word is nondescript, which is found in chapter 3. The second word is invariably, which is found in chapter 4. And the third word is disquieting, which is found in chapter 5. When you do this part of the activity, first copy the sentence from the text. Then predict what you think it means. And lastly, look up the definition using Word Central.